We have had a series of talks starting from 1 century BC, covering the real Christ that had come to abrogate the Jewish religion and return it to its noble condition. In 1st century AD, we did Apollonius of Tyana, who is an adept of the highest degree who was on the scene, and we followed his young apprenticeship and then initiation into the mysteries at 16, then teaching all over the Roman Empire, which at that stage covered a tremendous area. And we followed that talk with the Gnostic Christianity preparation for today, meaning we went into the philosophy of the Gnostic fathers and how that diversion had come about in 1st century AD, where the Orthodox Jew Peter created this dogmatic line of Christianity, and then on the other side Paul, the Gnostics. And at first we talked about this fight being between personalities and principles, and then we saw that the church fathers were fighting amongst themselves. In other words, the Church of Rome took the pagan philosophies, metamorphosed them into its own use, anthropomorphized them, carnalized Christ, and then got rid of all of the books to hide its plagiarism. So today we shall talk about Gnostic Christianity from the viewpoint of comparison between Gnostics and the Orthodox fathers. In the 2nd century AD, we had said that the Christian era, the Roman Empire comprehended some of the most enlightened minds in their emperors, that is. Let's put these names on the board so that you can all go and do your own research. Nerva, Hadrian, plus Antonines. And who are these? Marcus Aurelius and Pius. Marcus Aurelius being a Stoic. These 5 emperors, because there's 2 Antonines, had cemented the empire into a peaceful and prosperous area. So during this period, love of letters or education was at the forefront. We had also talked in the previous sections about the Alexandrian schools and the school in Ephesus, where the secret doctrine, not this book, but the part that could have been given out at that stage, were being taught to those who were initiated. These are the mystery schools. Where we said Jesus himself had obtained his very broad perspective. Not only was he inducted into the Jewish temple, but when he went to Egypt, he was also initiated into the temple secrets, and then when he came back, he was also initiated into Chaldean mysteries. So he had synthesized a tremendous amount of knowledge and then gave it to the people in a language that could be understood. So then these emperors themselves were men of learning and culture, and during the reign of the Antonines, Pius and Marcus Aurelius, schools had been established everywhere in the empire, and it is said in these writings that the salary of an ordinary professor was 10,000 drachma, which is about $2,000, and Polemo was paid about 40,000 for 3 sessions. So learning then is the general rule in the empire, Roman Empire. What else is the general rule? Tolerance. So learning and tolerance. This attitude on the part of the emperors then brings about in the general public the same tolerance towards one another. The pagan, the Greek, the Roman, when they prayed to their God, they understood that they were praying to the same God but under different names. So when they went to the altar and prayed, they gave the same honor to their neighbor's God because they knew that it was the same God. The only exception, it said, to this rule was Orthodox Christianity and Orthodox Jews. The Orthodox Jews considered themselves the chosen people and did not conceal this fact that they considered it so. And the Christians considered all other religions under the heading of idolatry. Idolatry. And this religion then is based on blind faith. Not knowledge, blind faith. So, HPB in the Secret Doctrine says the dire heresy of separateness when she talks about humanity, because we consider humanity as one family. We are all members of the same whole. Or you can do it this way, just like the sun's rays goes in each direction. Each soul then is connected in its core, so we are all as one. We are all united. And the Gnostic fathers understood this, but not the Orthodox side of Christianity. So she says the dire heresy of separateness, which isolated Christianity from all other religions, also separated Orthodox Christianity from the Gnostic doctrines. So there is this divergence in the 2nd century AD. For today's talk, this student chose 3 Gnostic fathers. There's a lot more of them, but cannot be fitted into such a short period of time. So we are going to consider the teachings of Basilides, Marcion, and Valentinus or Valentinus, however we pronounce it, I do not know. And you can do your own. These are the Gnostics. And then on the other side we have Justin Martyr or Martyr, Irenaeus, and Tertullian. Basilides was an Alexandrian who taught in the city around 120. He was a great man, tremendous culture and learning in his background, and he was a pious, godlike theosophic philosopher. And I'm quoting from the writings. This is not my statements. I'm simply quoting from the writings to show you that it is not the students' statements. These are preserved. So Basilides was a student of the esoteric side of the philosophy, because he was taught by Matthew himself. Who's Matthew? Matthew is the companion of Jesus Christ, and he actually wrote the original gospel in Hebrew characters on purpose, because he did not want to divulge the information, the esoteric information, to the general public, and he wanted those who could perceive its underlying meaning to get at it. The one that we have today, the Greek copy, is the spurious one. It is not the original. So he knew the real teachings of Jesus and understood its inner meaning. So from the philosophical basis of Christianity, he became a danger to the church, and he was very unpopular, and his interpretations of the Gospels, the first commentaries written by a Christian philosopher, were burned, and Basilides himself was excommunicated and driven out of his native land, which was Alexandria. But even though they burned all of his works, in the refutations from the orthodox fathers in reply to these writings, his writings are preserved in the refutations of Hippolytus, and it shows that Basilides was a true theosophist and taught the three fundamental propositions of theosophy and the doctrine of karma and reincarnation. Now, the second one, Marcion, was a very rich ship owner who lived on the southern coast of the Black Sea, which is now Turkey. And he came to Rome in the middle of the 2nd century. And this is what historians say about him. He is a pure person, has pure religious aspirations, irreproachable character, and exalted views on life. But Tertullian calls him the beast and speaks of him as that impious and sacrilegious Marcion. Well, his sacrilege, obviously, from Tertullian's viewpoint, is easily understood, because Marcion denied the alleged historical facts of Jesus' birth, life, and crucifixion, maintaining that such statements were but carnalizations of metaphysical allegories and a degradation of the true spiritual ideas that lay behind them. He recognized none of the scriptures except a few of Paul's epistles, and declared that Paul was the only apostle who understood Jesus' true teachings.